Part 2. Silver Snow. Guardian Moon. A king without a kingdom. Having parted ways with Edelgard, former students of the Black Eagle House now work alongside the Knights of Saros at Garreg Mach. They begin to create a resistance army strong enough to take on her Imperial forces.
Ah, thank the goddess. I couldn't bear the thought of letting Gerald down by not finding you.
Guess you lucked out. We've been looking everywhere for you, but I see Lady Rhea isn't with you. Damn.
Everyone was real worried about you, Professor.
Seteth told us everything. From here on out, you will have our aid.
I am so grateful that everyone is safe. I am sorry things are moving so rapidly, but there is something we must discuss. Come with me. The time has come to make our true stand against the Empire. Our base will be Garreg Mach Monastery. The interior is in less than prime condition, but we should be able to utilize it much the same as we had before.
Surely those Imperial jerks have this place staked out, right? It's a highly strategic location.
It may be an area of importance, but it is far removed from the front lines. Considering the burden of transport, it is possible they are not paying too much attention to it.
Nothing escapes the Emperor. There must at least be a spy or two.
Professor, what do you think?
Your concern is valid. However, the town and surrounding hamlets are still present. And though far from abundant, the church still has funds at its disposal.
That's true. Professor, I think we can leave expanding our army to my brother. He was always good at negotiating, and I believe he is best suited to the task.
In that case, I have a request. Please allow my soldiers to join your ranks as well. House Sire already tried taking on the Emperor. As a result, our territory was stolen from us. As a consequence, I do not have many soldiers left to speak of. But those I have are yours to command.
I feel like I should tell you that I've been protecting some kids who lost their parents in the war. They're in the town right now, but maybe we can move them to the monastery? I'm sure they'd be happy to chip in however they can.
Yes, I understand. I will make the necessary arrangements.
I nabbed some valuables from my house. Father is with the Emperor now, so... It's not much, but it's yours.
I don't have a thing to contribute. In fact, I'm still in my same old clothes.
I've been wandering on my own for 5 years. I won't go back to that house or my father, that's for sure.
I understand. Leave it to me. No labor is too great if it means saving Fodlan.
I will not yield! Yeah!
It's been a while since I had such a close call. If not for you, Professor, I wouldn't have made it. I didn't expect to be ambushed on a simple scouting mission. You should be asking about the mission, not about me. I have to ask, Professor, what brought you here? So you came to protect me. I'm beginning to understand why your allies love you. These are selfish times. One doesn't expect to encounter selflessness. You're kind. In that respect, I'd say you're much like Lady Rhea. Of course. It's thanks to her kindness that I'm here today. I was an outlaw in Fargus. She took me in and let me live here. Didn't I tell you? I was born into House Karen in Fargus. They used to call me Thunderstrike Cassandra. I was implicated in a plot to kill the king. It was a totally false accusation, of course. I had to flee the kingdom, and the Archbishop took me in. I used to be a student at the academy, so I knew I'd be safe here. Lady Rhea saved me once when I was a student, you know. We were tasked with battling monsters, but we were ambushed. I almost died. Lady Rhea took care of me. She didn't mind getting dirty. She took my muddied, bloodied body into her arms. Since then, Lady Rhea has been my inspiration. I will always serve her, protect her, love her. For some reason, when I think about Lady Rhea, your face comes to mind. You've become an important presence in my life. I wasn't expecting you to have a positive response. I'm not thrilled about it personally. I am still going to keep my eye on you. Not so I can report to Lady Rhea, though. Just because I want to.
Ugh, that hurts. Ah, Professor. Thanks for stopping by. It's not bad. I was even told I'd be cleared for service starting tomorrow. Besides, I got this scar fighting for you. It's almost like a medal or something. I certainly meant it when I said it, but when I thought you were going to be killed for real, my reflexes kicked in. I reacted without thinking. It doesn't mean I've stopped being jealous of you. But come on, I can't help but look up to you. If I'd had the guts to run away from home, I wonder if I would have cared as little about my crest as you do yours. No, but if I thought I could have escaped, I would have tried. I'd leave behind House Gautier and the life of a nobleman and anybody who knew I had a crest. Our home is to the very north of the kingdom. Just across the mountains from us is land inhabited by foreigners to Fodlan. It once belonged to Fargus, but now that the kingdom has collapsed, it's only a matter of time until fighting breaks out. Anyway, that land has been contested for centuries, and all that time, it has fallen to House Gautier to protect it. Actually, our Lance of Ruin has been doing most of the protecting. Those were dangerous times. One wrong step, and we would have lost our relic to the church. My father was afraid that the church would try to keep the lance, so he entrusted it to me. If an emergency arose, I was supposed to be called back home. I guess those very situations are why my family values crests so much. Since I bear a crest, my parents made sure I was never left wanting. My older brother didn't have one, and so when I was born, he was pushed aside. You know, he once shoved me in a well. He left me on the mountainside in the middle of winter, too. Even as a little kid, I understood why he was like that. My mere existence stole everything from him. I have no right to complain when I am surrounded by people who would give anything to bear a crest, but do not. Now, women smile at me for the same reason my parents adore me, and my brother wanted me dead. And I have to meet them all with a smile and a wink, because I have a crest. Yeah, it's late to admit it, but I get you. It would be best just to tell them to heap their empty praise elsewhere. Anyway, it was pretty unreasonable of me to resent you. I'm really sorry about that. And I want to say thank you, Professor. Seriously, thank you. Before I met you, I'd gone my whole life not knowing there was another way for me to live. So, from the bottom of my heart, I'm glad we met.
Why did this have to happen? Getting separated from my own troop. I'm a failure as a commander. It's already almost sunset. My wounds are aching, and I'm so hungry. Maybe I'm just gonna die right here. But no! That's such a pathetic way to die. I wonder if the rest of my soldiers are okay. I'm so worried about them.
Up and at 'em, Annette. There you go.
Caspar? What are you doing here? I was wounded in the forest, lost sight of my troop. I wandered around and Oh, where is everyone?
Calm down, you got nothing to worry about. They're fine. My men retrieved the rest of your unit. You're the one we've been worried about. How you feeling? Are you hurt? You've got a pretty painful-looking wound on your leg.
Oh, I'm alright. Though I might have trouble running.
If you say so. I gotta admit, I got the chills when I heard you were missing. Your soldiers told me what happened. I was only able to find you thanks to them. You've got a good troop there. You should be proud. What's wrong, Annette? Not feeling so good after all?
No, that's not it. I was just thinking about what a hopeless commander I am. It's my job to look after my soldiers, but they ended up having to look out for me. If I'm this hopeless, I shouldn't be out there at all.
What are you talking about? I don't know anyone around here who works harder than you. You put your all into your work and everyone knows it. Why do you think your soldiers are so loyal?
Caspar.
There's no way they'd do so much for you if they didn't see it in you. Come on, let's head back. I'll help you if you're having trouble walking. Your soldiers are worried about you. Go show them you're doing just fine.
Yes, you're right. Thank you, Caspar.
No problem. Just remember that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you're learning from them.
Shamir, can I be having your time? There is a thought that is giving me great concern.
Let's hear it, Petra.
If Dagda is ever invading Fodlan again, what will you be doing?
I'd join the army of Dagda. I'd lay waste to Fodlan and return to my homeland.
If that is the truth, then I am having one more question for you. If that was happening, and all of us were fighting for Fodlan, would you be fighting us too?
Of course. You expect me to die for you? You should be prepared to do the same. Your homeland would likely join Dagda.
So, that is your truth?
Maybe. If you'd asked me 5 years ago.
Hmm?
I've been a mercenary since childhood. Always fighting for a bounty. If my allies didn't pay, I'd side with the enemy. It's why I became a sniper. Easier to dispose of anyone with a reward on their head. It's also why I joined the Knights of Saros. I owed them a debt, but that's all changed.
You are not fighting for money now?
That's right. When I see everyone fighting for Fodlan, I feel inclined to help. I won't die for the cause, but I will protect everyone. If the army of Dagda engaged you, I'd fight at your side.
Hearing that is it gives me great joy. Until the war is finished, let us fight together. Professor?
So I said, two can play at that game. I told him, a small-time little weasel like you ought to be begging me for attention. Oh, it gets me so mad, so worked up. Why aren't there any men around here who understand what a catch I am? Come to think of it, you've always been nice to me. I mean, you listen to all my problems. I feel like I can really trust you. I don't have that kind of thing with a lot of people. Right, I got it. I knew you'd say we were just friends. I'd like to maybe talk about this once the war is over. Once we're all safe. All right, enough of this moping around. What we need is a change of mood. We've still got a lot to do together. When I think about that, what are 1 or 2 men? What's wrong is, it's not just 1 or 2 men, it's more like 100 men, maybe even 200, more! I'm completely... Oh, I can't get out of this mood! Actually, I've got an idea. Exercise will help. I'm going to the training ground. Come on and give me a hand. Gonna work my anger out on 100 training dummies. Maybe 200 if we've got them.
Edelgard is controlling the Empire. She is putting the pressure on the Kingdom in alliance. Empire and religion are at open war. It will be difficult for us at first, but corrupt nobles are many. That means the common people will rebel and be joining our side. With you, Professor, the battle tides will turn. I have certainty.
Professor. Thanks for your help out there. Battles tend to go smoother with you around. I think you did most of the heavy lifting. It may be unwise to think this way on the battlefield, but I feel I can trust your commands without question. Not sure. I might have an idea, but never mind. I've also noticed that you've been putting me in more precarious situations lately. Almost like you know I won't question your orders. No need. I'm glad you trust me to get the job done, but still, I knew you were doing it on purpose. You're in a very important position now that you're leading the charge against the Empire. Funny to think you used to just teach at the Officers' Academy. Your old students still call you Professor. That's no title for the commander of an army. You'll always be their professor, huh? You sure are an interesting one. My people lost the war, and I was left to wander Fodlan alone, but I guess meeting you was my prize. You look confused. Did you not know any of this? I was living in my homeland of Dagda up until the Imperial Army destroyed it 10 years ago. But being a mercenary, I have no real allegiance. That's why I'm working here now. Don't worry though, I don't plan to turn on you.
If you don't mind, I have a favor to ask.
Pardon me.
At last, I returned to my domain.
My lonely paradise. My realm of exquisite solitude. Huh? Professor? Is that you? You didn't hear that just now, did you? Right! You didn't? Well, good.
Hey, Professor. I know that we didn't plan to stop at the monastery, but I'm glad we did. I'm happy to be here with everyone again. Right? It's as though we went back in time 5 years. I feel like my old self again.
Okay.
Do you have time for a request?
Professor! Oh my, it's so good to see you. These days, so many old friends seem to be disappearing. But you're here. It's incredible to see you again after 5 years. I have a feeling your name will go down in history. Professor? This may seem a bit sudden, but I want to thank you, Professor. That is, for letting me live my life the way I want. I've noticed you've been giving me fewer of those soul-revealing gazes lately. I appreciate you making an effort to not trouble yourself over who I spend my time with. Well, of course. Did you think I wouldn't notice? It's kind of sweet in its own way. Professor, may I tell you a story about when I was younger? I was an orphan, living in the back alleys of Enbar, until one day I was overheard singing. That was when my new life began. I was suddenly a songstress in the Middle Franc Opera Company. Performers, nobility. I met so many people. But none of them ever really knew me. I was just some young, pretty girl who could sing. A spectacle to be admired. Even though everyone praised my looks and my voice, and they showered me with gifts, I knew one day I'd be old. My looks would fade, my voice would change. I wouldn't sound the same. And I started to wonder, when I did get old, what would I have left? I'd be old, alone, and back on the streets of the capital, right where I'd started. That's sweet of you, even if you are just flirting. I never had much to begin with in life, and I worry that one day I'll be that way again. That's why I keep searching for someone who will love me. Someone unaware of the songstress, who can love a girl that used to be scared and alone on the streets of the capital. I wonder if such a strange person can even exist.
You've done me a great service.
given up on ever seeing you again. Where have you been hiding? Anyway, now that we're reunited in the land of the living, I must fulfill my promise. That's right. I promised the captain I'd protect you in his stead, and now I'll make good on my word.
Hey, Professor! You won't believe what happened. I figured I couldn't go back to the Empire after Garrick Mach fell, so I started drifting across the Kingdom in Alliance. Then, I just happened to run into our old class, so we came back to the monastery together.
Fighting alongside you and everyone else is a dream come true, Professor. And don't worry about my little sis. Right now, she's back home helping out with the family business. I kind of figured I was going to be stuck going back and taking over for her. But thanks to you guys, I get to work on my dream of becoming a proper knight.
I appreciate any good meal, but nothing beats enjoying my favorite food.
I've eaten many meals in my time, but this is divine.
Yummy! Who made this? I'll have to give my compliments to the chef. Eating delicious food really takes my worries away.
This is my favorite. I am rather happy you went out of your way to pick it, Professor.
Ooh, this is my favorite. You've got great taste. I like this dish. It was my father's favorite.
This is my most favorite dish of all. I love it almost as much as Crestology itself.
Huh? Hey, I could use a hand.
I need a favor.
Pardon me.
Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. You know, it's such a thrill to be able to greet you like this again. I almost died as well in the battle 5 years ago, but I won't allow any enemies to get into this place again. I promise you that. Even if the Death Knight shows up, I'll be sure to... Well, for now I'll keep training, so I can eventually feel confident that I can stop him.
Got a favor to ask.
There's unrest everywhere these days. All of my fellow merchants seem to be endangered. I hope things go back to normal soon. People need more to smile about, aside from my great deals. Hey, how about a favor? Appreciate it.
Pardon me.
Take that! Yes, I am in a hurry. Edelgard claims victory after victory. She never stops. 5 years ago, she ascended the throne and swept away the corrupt nobles, my father included. I always thought I would be the one to unseat him. But she did it instead, with all the ease and indifference of someone cracking an egg. She put my father under house arrest. She stripped House Ire of its power. Rather than accepting a role as her puppet, I left. Now I fight to topple the Empire. The disparity between Edelgard and myself is obvious. She never stops moving forward, single-minded, never wavering. But where does that leave me? Here, flailing about, going nowhere, contributing nothing. But it is. That is the reality. Not once since our days at the Academy have I exceeded Edelgard's abilities. I saw her as a worthy opponent. She did not even see me as a contender. She did not even consider me at all. As the head of the noble House Ire, I must be able to achieve results. But all my efforts have come to nothing. Results are everything. I have not shown results, so I will be stagnating here forever. I appreciate your kind words, but you are wrong. I know that I have a massive wall to climb, and I must climb it alone. Even so, may I ask a favor? Professor, please keep an eye on my progress. I would appreciate if you were always by my side, bearing witness to my accomplishments.
Professor, I have a proposal. Why not go beyond the Knights of Seiros? Instead, uniting with allies from all across Fodlan to fight for our cause. Looking back, it would have been best to ally with the Kingdom and join forces against the Empire. But now the Kingdom is not exactly, well... Professor. Apologies for bothering you so late. I just really wanted to speak with you. Thank you. You see, I've been feeling conflicted about my future. It may seem petty to worry about such things in the middle of a war like this. This isn't something I open up about with many people. Feeling such a sense of inner turmoil while a war rages on, and others are fighting with all they have, well, it feels a little selfish. The truth is, I've wanted to be a knight ever since I was a small child. Not just any knight, like one you might find serving within the castle guard, but a true knight, one serving a master. However, my father has always had different plans for me. He wants me to marry, for the benefit of the Galatea family. Defying my father feels wrong. I've seen how he struggled over the years. His burden has always been far greater than any I've had to bear myself. While he fed me extravagant meals, he subsisted on meager portions and watered-down soups. He never once complained, even though he must have been starving. Knowing his sacrifices, I've never been able to tell him of my dream of becoming a knight. Although ultimately, I find myself betraying his wishes. Now that I've parted ways with my father, there is nothing to stop me from pursuing my dream. But even if I do become a knight, I feel an unease deep within me. I fear I will never escape this guilt I carry, that I have shunned my duty as a noble. To follow both my dream and my duty? I had never considered that as an option. Perhaps there is a way. Even with the academy days long behind us, you're still a professor through and through. Always listening to others' troubles and offering up your wisdom. I really am grateful for all that you do for us, Professor. I hope you'll always be here as a guide to everyone. I know I myself would appreciate that deeply.
Professor, I left home without telling my father. Did you know that? I can just imagine my father's face contorted in anger, and the delightful words he must have used to describe me. Kind of a scary image, actually. But regardless, I've put my faith in you, Professor, and I'm hoping I haven't made a big mistake.
Yes. I'm more of a mercenary than a knight these days. I work to get paid. I never was too attached to Fodlan. I was considering leaving soon, but I might change my mind if you're around. In Lady Rhea's absence, I will follow you. That's what she would want me to do. Know that wherever you might lead us, I'll continue searching for Lady Rhea. Good, because I will not budge on that point. Welcome back, Professor. Yes.
Yes, I come from the Empire, but I have no intention of ever returning. This war the Emperor instigated has caused nothing but trouble and pain. I want this war to end. And that's why I'm here, fighting with you.
Professor, I am so glad you are unharmed. No matter the path you walk, I will be with you every step of the way. Anything you ask of me, I shall see it through. You saved my life, and I am in your debt. Members of the Knights tell me that Father left their ranks 5 years ago. They say he announced he was returning to the kingdom, but nobody's heard from him since. I haven't received word that he went back home to Mother. Where could he be? Where are you, Father?
Professor? During his search for her grace, the Archbishop, Seteth has visited churches all across the land. It served to demonstrate to the devout across Fodlan that the Church of Seros is still going strong. As a result, the faithful are not currently in a state of chaos.
Professor! Hey, Professor, something's been bothering me. Remember that suspicious guy I chased after back when I was a student? A knight scolded me for it, but at the time I really thought I was doing the right thing. Now that I've had more experience on the battlefield, though...
I've been looking for you. There isn't much time, so I'll keep this brief. The knights encountered a band of brigands while out marching. It was hard fought, but we prevailed. Our soldiers are highly trained, but the enemy was formidable, and we weren't expecting combat. There were a number of casualties among our troops. Much appreciated, but there's a reason I need to bring this to your attention. Do you recall the incident 5 years ago involving a suspicious individual in Garreg Mach? These brigands all bore the same scorpion tattoo that we found on the arm of that man.
Oh no.
I thought that might be of interest to you. Don't mention it. If you'll excuse me, I need to get back to my duties.
Heck of a coincidence, right? As soon as I mention that suspicious guy, this happens. But some of the knights died in combat. They died because of what I did 5 years ago. This is my fault. If I'd stayed quiet and tracked the guy down like you said, we would have stopped those brigands sooner, and I wouldn't have blood on my hands. But he probably wouldn't have. Now those knights, they're not coming back. We both know it. This is all my fault.
It's been fixed up quite a bit, but its battle scars aren't so easily erased. To think that a glorious cathedral with a 1,000-year history would end up like this. I'll rebuild this place someday. This cathedral is the symbol of Fodlan. Maybe I should paint a picture of the beautiful cathedral of old. Well, I still remember what it looked like.
I can't believe how long it's been since I left home. Since I was dragged out of the house, I mean. 5 whole years. It's weird to think about. At first, I remember I was desperate to go back, but now it's the opposite. I have friends here, and I have you. The monastery's become a second home to me. Back then, I never would have dreamed a day like this would come. It's all thanks to you. You've given me a second chance at life. If not for you, I never would have gotten used to leaving my room, let alone the monastery. Maybe the battlefields just dulled my senses. I'm much better with strangers and new places now, though. I don't panic nearly as much as before. A new place? All on my own? That sounds like a tough assignment. Where did this come from all of a sudden? Hey, hold on. You're teasing me, aren't you? Please don't joke around like that anymore. It's torture for me. You're still not taking me seriously. I mean it. Promise me you won't do that again. Friends respect each other's feelings, don't they? Good. I'll hold you to that. You're absolutely not allowed to send me out anywhere on my own. Got it? You would need to come with me. If you're with me, I can go anywhere in the world. No, that defeats the purpose. Why can't you get what I'm saying? I thought we were finally getting close. Guess I'm not good enough for that, though, am I? I'll let you have this one, but you better be ready for next time.
Oh, what?
The town I'd been living in came under attack by the Empire's army. My parents were both caught up in the fighting and killed. I've got no home to go back to anymore. so I guess I may as well stay here.
You're here, Professor, along with everyone from our old class. It's like we've gone back in time. When I think that I'll be around you again, all of my sorrows just drift away. Yes. I'll at least try not to hold anyone back. Let's work together for the common good, like we did 5 years ago.
Even with the church in shambles, we can still pray. The goddess will surely hear our prayers. But still, I hope the church can return to its former beauty someday.
It seems that in the last 5 years, the monks here have left this place for the town below. However, once they learn of our return, perhaps they'll come back. I hope the monastery can return to normal someday.
The promise was made 5 years ago, but I must say I'm rather impressed by how many of us managed to make it. Personally, I only showed up because I hope to see you again, Professor. I've been with my family in the Empire until recently. I admit to feeling a little guilty betraying Her Majesty, but only a little. Now that we're all together again, I suppose the fighting will begin soon.
I've grown weary and impatient. These past 5 years, my hands have been bound. But now, I can finally take action with a clear goal. I'm grateful to you and to everyone. Down with the Empire. Surely peace will soon follow if the Empire is overthrown. Then my parents can finally find peace themselves.
Yeah. I don't know anything about rebuilding, but I can sure do my best to clean up the mess. I'm gonna keep Lady Rhea's room spotless, so she can use it right away whenever she gets back. You gotta find her, Professor. You just gotta.
Well...
Teacher, I have lost my dominion. My nobility may seem like nothing more than a title, but I will never lose my noble heart. I will stop Edelgard, even if it costs me my life. I have turned my blade against her now. I cannot go back on that decision. Professor, do you think I chose the wrong path? You are right.
Really?
Thankfully, it appears the records and equipment I need for my research have not been damaged. I am most curious, though. You say you were asleep for 5 whole years. Incredible. Perhaps this is another effect of your crest. I do look forward to investigating you in greater detail. Wonderful news. I am most excited to begin. We must find the time, of course.
Professor? My Professor, you haven't changed a bit. At your age, I'd expect your whole demeanor to have changed greatly over 5 years. Though, I suppose I haven't changed either, right? Thank you for noticing, by the way. Ah, just the two of us, forever young. Oh, let me have my fun.
With the return of its knights, Garrick Mach is finally coming back to life. The Church of Seiros will follow you from now on, but please do not abandon the search for Lady Rhea. Thank you. I know the battles ahead will be dire, but we will support you with all our strength. I have something to ask of you.
A country with no king has no future. That's why I made my way here. Professor, don't let me down. Yes, let's. Find me a worthy opponent to battle, and I'll be content.
Professor, it's not just for my village that I'm fighting alongside you here, you know. It's also that Captain Gerald asked me, his first and greatest apprentice, to look out for you. Of course, it wouldn't be enough just to keep you alive. It's my duty to make sure you win, too. So do your best, Professor, and count on me to watch your back.
Whoa!
Hey you, listen up. I've got something to report. It's you. You're still alive. It's been 5 whole years, hasn't it? Time flies when you're standing guard. That's right, I've been here the whole time. Day in and day out. Not like I have anywhere else to be. Looks like the Knights of Seiros have returned. Wonder if Mr. Backup is back too.
A lot of folks cleared out once the fighting started. People are saying it was the church that used to keep order around here. But it's Yuri who's saving us from complete chaos.
Whoa!
Past 5 years have been so chaotic, even the bounty hunters backed off. I kinda miss the chase. I don't have family ties worth fighting for, so these muscles are up for grabs. Use me as you see fit, pal. You're a smart one. Just point me at a problem and I'll smash it up for you. If you're worried my skills have dulled from disuse, think again. I've been fighting thieves to stay sharp. Got a favor to ask.
Oh, you have the look of someone relieved to see me. Before you ask, yes, my superior spellcraft is yours. It's your reward for waiting so patiently for me. Your quick acceptance of the truth is gratifying. But my assistance has a price. I expect you to aid me in fulfilling my dream of restoring House Nouvelle.
Come on. You're back finally. I've been waiting for so long. I thought you might have died. But I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I stayed here. You're welcome. It wasn't easy. I've been kinda lonely. As you might have noticed, we've lost a few people down here. I could use your help.
Well, hello. It's been a while, hasn't it? Are you really so surprised here? I flew here just as soon as I heard you were alive. I care more than you may realize. Are you now? I will admit, hearing that does make my heart flutter a bit. So long as our efforts are aligned, I'll happily work alongside you.
Why, hello there. Come back soon now.
Come on. Thanks for giving me a hand.
Dear Goddess, I ask for guidance. Professor, you're always watching over me, aren't you? I've spent my entire life avoiding people. Speaking to others was so difficult for me, so I made a point to always be alone. Animals and the Goddess were the only ones I could really open up to. Do you remember the time you asked what it was I prayed for? Yes, but that wasn't the case. Back then, I felt that my life served no purpose, and that I was nothing more than a burden. In truth, I was begging the Goddess to take me to her. That was my daily prayer. But now I fear the idea of dying and being left alone. I have friends who accept me for who I am now, in spite of my crest. And I have you watching over me. I finally learned to accept the kindness and warmth of others. It's because of you, Professor. Because of you, I've decided to live. I'm sorry to have worried you, but I'm all right now. Even if I'm separated from you or any of my friends, the memories I've made here will give me the strength to continue on. Oh, I'm sure I'll have the strength to move forward if we're together.
Huh? My savior, thank you.
Professor. Which means that there are some elements of your power that cannot be explained by current theory. Although this may lead to a discovery that alters the very fabric of Crest research. Oh, pardon me, Professor. I became lost in thought, and I do tend to ramble. I suggest we call it a day. Do you concur? No, you mustn't push yourself too hard. When you are not in battle, you are so often here with me. I get so energized speaking with you. Well, I must remember to pull my head out of the clouds. That said, perhaps we should discuss things unrelated to crests from time to time. Some sort of silly, lighthearted topic might be nice, eh? I'm not especially skilled at small talk, alas. Let me see. Perhaps we should discuss... I know. Food. Not my strong suit, the culinary arts, but I do enjoy a good meal. Which kind of food do you prefer, Professor? Sweet or spicy? Same as myself. Yes, indeed. Oh, now my stomach is growling. An old colleague of mine theorized that those who bear crests favor sweet flavors over spicy. She suggested that the crest exerts some manner of influence over... Oh, there I go again. How embarrassing. We were supposed to be avoiding talk of crests, weren't we? Terrible habit of mine, finding a way to turn any conversation towards crests. I really should find a way to stop that. That is kind of you, Professor, but it's all right. If you were to lose your patience with me, it could have an incalculable impact on my research. That sort of thing has happened in the past, you know. Back when I was still in the Empire. At first, any lady I was spending time with would titter and say she didn't mind if I talked about crests. But at some point, she would always become fed up and stop listening to what I had to say. In the end, invariably, while I was particularly focused on my research, she would write to say we were done. You may be a man, but I still don't wish for you to grow tired of my company.
Hi there!
Professor.
Thank you for helping me with my training again today, Professor. I'm gonna keep at it for a while longer, so you go on ahead. I can't. Not when I'm right on the cusp of using my power to greater potential. Surely you yourself are tired.
Just don't worry about me, okay? I'm sorry, Professor. It was careless of me to continue, despite how fatigued I clearly was. I probably should have listened to you. Now I've made a mess of things. I can't help but feel the need to rush in all things constantly. You get that way when you realize you haven't got much time. 18 years ago, House Ardelia was involved in a civil conflict within the Empire. All we did was respond to a call for aid. We weren't involved politically. But once the rebellion was crushed, my family was held responsible for the aid we gave, and the Empire gained some sway over us as a result. At the time, the noble houses of the Alliance took a passive stance. No one lent aid to my family. As a result, some key officials within the family were killed, and people from the Empire were sent to replace them. Among those people were some mysterious mages. They were unsettling, in a word, skin pale as death. One after another, they captured and imprisoned the children of our household. They began performing terrible rituals on the children, though it's probably more accurate to call them experiments. With the Empire monitoring our every move, my parents could do nothing but watch in horror as all of this unfolded. One after another, the children died. The only one left was me. You know, my hair wasn't always this color. During their experiments, they'd been doing things with my blood. One morning, I awoke like this. A shock of white hair, all trace of pigment gone. Upon seeing me, the mages were delighted. They realized that their experiments had finally succeeded. Sure enough, they ran a test and saw that two crests coexisted within me. Losing pigment from my hair wasn't the only loss. The mages informed me that my lifespan was now greatly shortened. 5 more years at most, perhaps less. Shortly thereafter, the mages lost interest in me, and we never saw them in the Ardelia household again. Since all that, our family has been in decline. It's challenging now even to govern our territory. After all my mother and father have suffered, I at least want them to have peace as they grow older. That is all I wish for, but I haven't much time to ensure it comes to pass. It's not like what's been done to me can be undone. Professor, the only way I can conceive of would be to remove my crest somehow. But I don't know if that's even remotely possible. Even if it were, I wouldn't be of much use to you and the others without my crests. You sound resolved. I'll allow your resolve to bolster my own. Thank you, Professor.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Pardon me.
Professor. Yes.
Hello, Professor. What brings you here? Fancy a bit of fishing? You know, I could hardly go fishing without thinking of old Gerald. He and I would just sit here, casting our lines again and again. I'm no better at it now than I was then. Not a single nibble. Just like your father. You know all the tricks of the fisherman's trade. I was hopeless at it, but he was a master. In the time it took me to catch one fish, he could fill his basket to the brim. You know, talking to you, I'm feeling very nostalgic. Why don't you join me? We can trade some stories about the old man. We spoke before about how Gerald never seemed to age, right? Once, when he was drunk, he let the secret slip. He said he'd had an infusion of crest-bearing blood, and it had greatly extended his life. Well, we'd both been drinking. I figured he was joking, so I just laughed it off. Then I asked him his age. He said he'd stopped counting after he hit 100. And he was telling the truth. In those 20 years he was away, he didn't age a bit. An incredible person, to be sure. And I probably don't know the half of it. Actually, I'd like to ask you something about Gerald, if you don't mind. When Gerald was away from the monastery, what was he like? In other words, he was exactly the same. When he was with the Knights, he always found time to go fishing. He was hooked on it, you might say. He'd say there was no greater pleasure in life than sinking his teeth into a fish he'd caught and washing it down with a drink. I have to say, right now, fishing with you, it really takes me back. This feels just like the good old days, when Gerald was sitting alongside me.
I'm not good, but I'm loud. You might want to run for cover.
Singing's okay, but I should really have a cute dance to go along with it.
Whew, time for a breather. Hey, Professor. Yep, noticed you have been too. Seems like it's been a real rough day for just about everybody, huh? I've been so busy I still haven't eaten. I hope there's still food left. How come you're carrying that around? Whatever, I'm hungry. When you're hungry enough, just about anything tastes good. What a day. I need a nap, but I still gotta get the dining hall cleaned up. Professor, that's funny. You push yourself harder than anybody else. You make me look lazy. Besides, I don't even break a sweat doing this stuff. The day Lady Rhea comes home, I want her to see the monastery the way it was 5 years ago. That's why I do all this stuff. For her. And the harder I work, the better. Heck, I'd do more than I do now if there were hours in the day. But I can't go without sleep. Tried once. You must think I'm pretty weird, huh, Professor? I'm always on about Lady Rhea, and I'm not even from Fodlan. I bet most people around here think I'm kinda weird. But I'm real grateful for everything Lady Rhea's done for me. That's nice of you to say. Real nice. Thanks, Professor. It's good to know you like me. Helps me feel even more at home. I've heard people say that good folks have a heart of gold. Not real gold, I mean. Just they always care about everybody else. Even guys like me. Lady Rhea's incredible. But I figure you're just the same, Professor. Okay. I guess I gotta give in and get some sleep. I'll get up extra early to make up for it. Good night, Professor.
Professor Henneman, you wanted to speak with me?
Miss Marianne, hello. Do pardon the mess. Please have a seat.
Of course.
I have been puzzling over why your father would wish to conceal your crest. And I have arrived at a conclusion. Would you like to hear it?
No, I would rather not.
Ah, fair enough. Then I will keep it to myself. However, if my theory is correct, well, then it is only natural for you and your father to try keeping your crest a secret. That said, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't point out that I consider this decision a most grievous error.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Crests never manifest in someone unfit to bear them. Which means, Miss Marianne, you have the ability to make the most of your crest, because it is, by definition, your crest.
I have no desire to make use of my crest.
But it can be of service to you, and I would venture to suggest, to the world at large.
Ever since I was born, that crest has been nothing but a burden to me. My parents, too.
Ah, that's right. I have heard that you were adopted. Did one of your birth parents also have that crest?
Yes, it was my father.
Then that crest is evidence that you are your true father's daughter. Concealing it, hiding that truth from the world, is denying your true parentage, is it not? I'm not suggesting you flaunt your crest. That would be highly unnecessary, possibly even dangerous. I simply wish you to accept who you are.
Accept it?
Accept the crest and allow its power to come forward. Then it will open itself to you. Whatever the crest may be, whatever its origin or its nature, it can serve you. It is yours to command, however you wish.
Mine?
Nobody can decide how to use your crest, Miss Marianne. That choice is yours alone.
I will think about that.
A little more crimson, maybe?
May I suggest vermilion instead?
Vermilion? I know! I see it! You don't have to say it! I've got no talent at all!
I said nothing about your talent. I simply suggested vermilion over crimson. Do you know vermilion? It's just a softer shade of crimson. I believe it would... Oh, forget it. This is your artistic vision, and I am but a meddler. I am going to read my book and leave you to your art.
No! It's fine. Say what you want to say. It's good advice. I'll use vermilion. Thank you.
Well, I'd best be heading back.
Phew! Finally done! I think.
All finished?
Please, don't look at it!
Everything looks a bit faded, doesn't it? Ironically, crimson may have been a better choice after all. The sense of distance on the petals is a little strange. Perhaps you should pay closer attention to such details as you paint. A preliminary sketch would do wonders. Still, forget my pedantic comments. You really do have potential. Bernadetta?
Idiot! Hopeless! Waste of time! Just burn the whole thing, Bernie! Break your stupid brushes and never paint again!
Perhaps I should have kept my thoughts to myself.